Hey, what's up, CAUSENETIC family?
Welcome to the CAUSENETIC podcast.
Hey, CAUSENETIC means being a person or thing that gives rise to a phenomenon that is dynamic or energizing.
We're tackling topics and we're telling the truth.
Hey, I'm Keith Fenson.
And I'm Rodrigo Ross.
Hey, so today we have the one and only, my man, Jorge Perez.
Yes, repeater.
We're talking about infusing joy. This interview here today is in collaboration with Community Rec Magazine. Community Rec Magazine is a national publication that comes out bi-monthly by Peake Media. Since 2003, Peake Media has been educating and empowering the health and fitness professionals all over the country by providing best practices and also business resources to them. You know, this is a free resource, so I hope you guys, when you hear this podcast, you go on to Community Rec and check it out. And so, but today we got Jorge Perez.
Who
the
is
man.
The cover of Community Rec Magazine. Not
Yes.
the articles on the 32nd page or maybe just a little blog piece on the 53rd page. The cover.
Well, do you see that smooth stance that he got up there?
What?
So
Infusing. This is not his first cover. I think no. He looks like he's probably been on like Time and Essence.
I'm
and
thinking
People
like
magazine.
I'm thinking maybe a GQ.
GQ.
You know, I'm just saying.
Yep.
You know, somebody told me he was up for like, you know, best looking man.
Yeah,
in the world.
man of the year.
I'm just saying, you know.
Twice.
Hey, but you know, hey, that's a topic for another day. So
that was back in the 1970s, guys.
That's okay. You can still compete. Maybe just a different category, right? Just a different age bracket. It's fine.
I'm in old GQ now.
Oh, we are so excited to have you back with us today again, Jorge. It is always amazing when you join us on the CAUSENETIC podcast. But today we're talking about your article, Infusing Joy, right? This idea of this strategic and innovative plan that you guys have in Cincinnati to really build inclusive and joyful communities. You gotta tell us about that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a joy to come on and join the party, because it's always a party. Always. And so, you know, this strategic plan that we're doing is actually chapter 2 of a plan we started 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And one of the things that happened along the first plan is that we were struggling to figure out why we were not making getting some traction on helping people achieve their goals, make friends and connect to each other, and be part of this kind of community, this cause we call the YMCA.
Yeah.
And when we went back to individuals and we kept asking them, so what would help you reach goals, make friends, and connect to a cause or a purpose? At one point they said, well, we need to have fun. We need to have joy.
Wow. Right. Yeah.
And so we wrote that down, and it kept coming up. But you know what was sad about that conversation is at some point we would ask, so what does that mean for you? And we had a lot of adults. Think about the time frame we're asking this. We're in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, man, I don't know how to answer that question.
Wow.
But not only did we discover that we need joy to make our efforts to try to help transform the lives of people happen, we also discovered that a lot of people don't know what it means to have joy. So it became a central part of our theme. The inclusiveness was this whole idea of feeling welcome regardless of your background. That was important. So think about being invited to somebody's house, and they say, hey, why don't you come over to my house? We're having a cookout. And you get there and you hear music going on, and it's the kind of music you love. So already there's some joy happening. Yeah. And then you get there and they're like, oh my gosh, Keith is here, Sylvia's here, Rod's here. We're all, and there's this invitation, this inclusiveness, and it doesn't take long before you're just part of the party.
Yeah.
But what if the party you come to, you get there and you're like, no one's having fun here. You ever been to those places?
Yes, I have been. Yes,
Yeah,
I've been to a couple of those parties. Didn't stay very long.
Right.
I did not.
Like, yo, what time you leave?
What time? I'm giving them 15 minutes.
Let's bounce.
Let's go.
But I'm gonna get a piece of that chicken over there first.
I want some cake to go though.
if you arrive with a friend, you say, "Hey, listen. So what's our code word?"
That's right.
So it's time to leave. Like caca.
Yes.
And you arrive there and no funds there. You're like going caca.
We're like, who let a bird in? What's going on here? What happened?
And so we knew that we had to have fun. We knew that we have to be inclusive. We also discovered that some of our YMCAs struggle with this.
Yeah. Imagine that, right? A YMCA that is struggling with having fun, right, and infusing joy.
So let me tag along with that right there, because your CEOs typically set the tone for an organization.
Yeah.
And so, how does a CEO, how does a leader who doesn't necessarily have the rah-rah personality, how do they lead an organization to have joy?
First of all, I hope you're not talking about me, Keith.
No, sir, brother. We already see that.
Not you, sir.
Your record is you known across the country. Like I'm in call Cincinnati, because they're doing this and that.
And it almost doesn't even really matter what you're talking about. Like
call Cincinnati. Jorge Perez.
They're doing it all.
Keith, if you want to, you call us too if you want to learn how to win the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Now hold on now. Don't stop. Just for you all listening, this is going to come out after the Super Bowl, so we will come back and address this issue right here. But Jorge, I'm gonna let you talk about the leader and the joy first, though.
But Keith, that's a solid question. I think one of the things that we learn is that not all of us have, this bent to joy.
Right.
One of the things we did as part of our new plan is we began to identify who are the joyful people in our association.
Wow.
Who are the cheerleaders? Who are the people when they show up, man, the party's starting. And we began to say, we got to make sure that they are at the table.
Yeah.
Not only are they at the table, they got to be leading the party planning. And so we restructured a few positions around and began to understand that we've got to get people that they're just full of joy. They just bubble over because you can't fake fun.
Right. That's true. And it's almost unfair because if that's not your natural bent, it could be exhausting to kind of live like, you know what I'm saying? To always live outside of yourself like that. It's not authentic. And so it's almost not fair. I love the fact that you operationalize centering the folks who this is intuitive to them. Like we have the folks who have this skill set. Let's put them in the right seat and let them go, as opposed to just saying, everybody be happy, everybody be filled with joy. Go, go, go. You ought to know how to do this. And folks are Googling, how do I act happy?
Well, let me ask you this, though, because I guess I look at joy and happy as two different things and the way that that's done. Can you talk a little bit about joy and happiness?
Yeah, absolutely. So when people think about happiness, it's something that's occurring because of the circumstances you're in. So like you could be happy when somebody throws you a surprise birthday party. That's happy.
Right. Yeah.
Joy happens when you realize your brother who's been stationed overseas is at the party. And you haven't seen him. Yeah. And now it doesn't even matter if the cake tastes bad. It doesn't matter if the music isn't good because you're at another level. So joy is not dependent on circumstances like happiness is. And so when we would ask people, what does it mean to be joy? They would start by saying, it's like having fun or going this, but we would probe a little bit and say, but what if those things weren't there?
Right.
And that's when it would get serious. And we say, you know what? The YMCA's goal and mission is to help strengthen spirit, minds, and bodies. And this whole idea of helping people find joy is part of the human development engagement. And this explains why there are some people that are in really tough circumstances.
Yeah.
They could be living under a bridge.
Yeah.
They could be working through some stuff because they lost a job, but they're still happy. That doesn't mean they're not sad about the things they're in.
Right.
But they're still joyful. And we've got to figure out a way to help our families, our friends, those that connect with us, to find that kind of footing, because we're all going to find some tough days ahead.
Yeah.
You know, I see joy as that inner beauty that comes out and influences the environment that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just, hey, y'all, rah, 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 rah. And the next moment, you know, you go around the corner, the person, you're not like this. But it is that somebody's always has that positive spirit.
Yeah.
And it is moving environments. So if the crowd is down, this is the type of person that's going to bring people's spirits up because of their very presence that they're in that particular room right there.
Yeah. For me, you know, joy for me is that connection, that very point where what you do and who you are intersect, right?
Like that. Yeah.
Where you get to get up every day and walk and work and exist in your passion and the things that you feel feed your spirit or help you live out whatever your personal mission is. And even when that stuff is hard, because there are very many days when it is hard to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But you still feel joy.
Yeah, happy doesn't wake you up. Joy wakes you
will
up
get you out
and get you moving right there.
Because some days you ain't real happy about what you got to do.
No. But when that joy's on the inside, there's a song that
joy.
Hey, no, whoa, this Jorge show. No, not yours. Okay.
You're right.
I'm sorry, Jorge.
I was getting ready to go into full-blown quiet.
So, Jorge, what were some of your common themes that came out as you did this strategic plan process?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So once we kind of centered around a vision statement, and you've kind of hinted a little bit about that would include inclusion and joy, helping people achieve goals, make friends, and connect to a cause or a purpose. But then we begin to ask, so what is the scaffolding necessary to make that happen? Mm-hmm. So what alignment do we have to have? And it got pretty meat and potato stuff, like what does our hallways need to look like? What do our facilities need to look like? But it also got to what kind of trainings do we need to have with the people that work with us, and what kind of people? Because we said earlier, if it's an intrinsic purpose, so Rodrigo, you mentioned that it's something internal. Joe, Keith, you said is foundational. If that's true, then when I hire people and promote people, I got to look at that.
Yeah.
Because what I can't do is I can't train that.
Right. You're right. You can't. I can teach you how to use our accounting system, but you can't train that. Yeah.
I mean, we were talking earlier about how it's hard to try to manufacture joy. We've all seen people who either try to do something they don't know how to do, but they're trying, and it's not just difficult for them, but it's also difficult for us who have to watch it.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen somebody try to dance that don't know how to dance?
Hey.
And say a word.
Hey.
Rodrigo looking at Keith.
I'd say a word. And you are right. It is painful to watch.
It's painful to watch, and it's painful for the person to do it. And so one of the challenges with organizations like the Y or any nonprofit is recognizing that we ought to be attracting the very people who model the transformation we want to see in others. We have this quote in our YMCA that says, transform people. So we got to be transformed to do transform. And so once we settled on
get that on a t-shirt. Yeah.
Once we settled on the organizational strength, we're talking about volunteerism and budgets and stuff like that. We said we got to make sure that we're evolving the organization around this culture. Yeah. We need to make sure that inclusion and belonging is infused throughout the organization, so that it's not a department or a thing we do in February.
Yep.
And a Taco Tuesday event. It is something that is all over the place. It just drips everywhere. And then we have to elevate this whole innovation and learning and joy. Yeah. It's got to be part of our mix. So once we've done that, once we did that, then we sandwich in between these two big broad ideas are programs and membership.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're in the midst over the next 3 years to see what happens.
Yeah.
But
so what are you hopeful for, Jorge, when you really infuse this and the transformed people are transforming people? What are you hoping for Cincinnati?
My hope for our YMCA is that we live out and measure and validate our mission statement, which is to strengthen people in spirit, mind, and body.
Yeah.
Too many organizations, sometimes even the YMCAs, we're measuring activities, not transformation.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
It's one thing to say, hey, I want to help people have a really good time and be joyful. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a party and then measure that a party took place and that people came.
Right.
That doesn't really mean that people had a good time.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example, since we were talking about football earlier.
Right.
When Los Angeles threw a party for their team and they invited their city, and Cincinnati threw a party for its team and invited its city, you could say that both of them did and threw a party, right?
Right.
But in Cincinnati, there were 30,000 people going out of their minds, having a great time, getting shirts, laughing, joyful. And in Los Angeles, there were 300.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is this. Activity can only give you some parts of it. At some point, you have to ask, was there a measurement? Was there a transformation? So at the YMCA, we say we make stronger spirit, minds, and bodies. So do we?
Right. And how do you measure that, right? Yeah.
So
Rodrigo, when you ask me, what do I hope for the YMCA? I want one day that 95% of every person that comes to our Ys goes through our programs, experience that joy and experience that inclusion, could say, I reached my goals, I made friends, and I am part of a cause we call the YMCA.
Man. That's a goal. I want that too. Cincinnati is cold though. Could I live in Cincinnati?
Hey, we got coats.
Oh, you sure right. And boots. And that's a good outfit right there. You're right, Jorge. I could.
Well, let's just write up that job description, sit on about a merry way.
I mean, trying to get.
No, I mean, yeah, Hank.
Joyfully.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, Jorge, man, we greatly appreciate you coming on with us, sharing your great wisdom. As always, CAUSENETIC family, we've been talking to Jorge Perez, President, CEO, YMCA of Cincinnati. Just an incredible person, incredible man, very real. He answers your texts, he answers your phone calls.
Yes. He holds you to task. He doesn't let you get away with stuff. Yeah. Yes, I love it.
Can't skirt around it at all.
Sure can't. And thank you so much, family, for listening to CAUSENETIC.
And on this episode called Infusing Joy, featuring Mr. Jorge Perez.
And subscribe and listen to us weekly.
Hey, and don't be shy. Give us a 5-star review.
And as always,
be dynamic.
Be phenomenal.
And be CAUSENETIC.